Welcome back. Good to see you here for a second year of study together. I hope your break was refreshing, was enjoyable, was relaxing, but not so relaxing that you forgot much or any of what we learned last year. I hope you've been able to maintain your knowledge of French during the course of the break between the first and the second year. Maybe you've traveled to a French-speaking country or met a French-speaking friend, or at least talked to yourself about the things going on around you during the course of this pause between the two courses. But in any case, I hope that it's still somewhat fresh in your mind. As for me, my break has been very brief. It's been 2 weeks since I made the last video from day 165 of year 1, so it hasn't been a long period of time. But although the sun's not out today, nonetheless, spring has come in Michigan. The snow is gone, which is a relief. I've been outside a bit, working in the garden, working in the chicken coop, raising baby chicks, getting ready to plant. So I'm somewhat invigorated and refreshed. I'm ready to start again. And here we go. Now, you'll notice a little difference when it comes to the daily lessons this year. Down below this video, here in the daily lesson sheet for day number 1, you'll notice that you have 2 assignments, and that those assignments come from 2 different units. That's because we've come to a watershed moment in our course. Last year, for the first 84 classes, 84 days of class, all we did was converse. Speaking and listening were the 2 skills that we were working on. And then on day number 85, I started to expose you to phonics, the sounds that letters and combinations of letters make in French. And then you also were exposed to the alphabet as well as elementary reading. And the reading became, as the time went by, more and more complex. Well, this is one of those moments, again, when we're switching from the skills of reading and writing, or excuse me, the skills of listening and speaking last year to reading, and now we're switching from the skill of reading to writing. Now, we're never going to completely abandon the other skills, of course. We need to maintain them and develop them further, but we'll start to have a focus on writing the French language. And you will find it a little challenging. French is not an easy language to write. Spanish is extremely easy. It's a phonetic language. What you say is what you write. Just like in English, French is not like that, unfortunately. There are a lot of silent letters, as you'll discover. Combinations of vowels, it's not always as clear as it would be in, say, Spanish, for example, what sound those combinations of vowels is going to make. And so it will be a bit of a challenge, but thankfully you have an advantage. Many students in a traditional school setting would start out the school year, their first year, doing writing exercises and some reading as well. That's not the way to go about becoming fluent, and it's even not the way to teach reading and writing. What one needs to do first is to learn how the language sounds as one learns to speak and understand it when spoken to. And that's what we did. We laid an oral foundation last year. And thankfully now, learning to write, after you've also learned to read, is going to be a lot simpler than it would have been otherwise, because you know what the language should sound like, because you've been exposed to phonics as well, and you've done some elementary reading, so you've seen certain words over and over again, which are among the more common words. So in any case, the 2 lessons down below that you see below this video, one is oral. That's the one found in Unit 3, and the first topic will be possessive adjectives. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then the second assignment is found in Unit 5, and that unit is exclusively devoted, with the exception of the first 2 lessons, exclusively devoted to the skill of writing. Now, I say the first 2 lessons don't directly relate to writing. They're going to be a review of phonics and also a little introduction to the impact of accent marks in French, what they do as far as the pronunciation of a word is concerned, or what their purpose is. But in any case, the vast majority of Unit 5 deals with writing, and you'll start to write as of the 3rd day of class in lesson number 3. Otherwise, let me give you a quick thumbnail sketch of what's going to be in the second year. We are still, orally at least, in the oral lessons, we're still in the midst of Unit 3. We cut off the first year with lesson 3.14. Unit 3, you may remember, deals with human description. We talked about physical description, emotions, clothing, colors, family relationships, parts of the body. What else was there? Your physical condition, your health, that kind of situation. And so we're in the midst of that unit still. There won't be more vocabulary on that topic introduced throughout the rest of Unit 3, but you'll have some additional grammatical points, more structure issues to learn about. And then Unit 4 deals with domestic vocabulary dealing with the home. And so you'll learn to talk about the exterior of a house. You'll learn to talk about the interior of a home, the rooms in a home, the furnishings in a house, activities you do in the home, chores you perform to maintain a home, and food as well. We'll talk about food and food preparation. And so that's the topic of domestic vocabulary. And Unit 5 will deal with urban vocabulary, a city setting, buildings, institutions, stores, giving and receiving directions, transportation, etc. So those are some of the those are more the vocabulary topics for the second year. The grammatical topics in the second part of the year, especially, there'll be a big emphasis upon learning new verb tenses, and specifically verb tenses that help you talk about the past. At this point, you can speak in what's called the present simple tense. Je parle français. Or you can speak in the near future. Je vais parler français. And you can speak in roughly what would correspond to the present progressive tense. Je suis en train de parler français. But talking about the past, you're completely blocked for the moment. Well, that won't be the case by the end of year 2. You'll be completely capable of referring to the past in different manners with different verb tenses. I think that's it. And so you're about to get back into oral lesson 3.15, back in the study of French, particularly French sentence structure in this lesson. And the sentence structure we're talking about are possessive adjectives, and I'm afraid it's a challenge. Right off the bat, French is not being kind to you as you're getting re-immersed into the study of the French language. The word my, for example, in French can be said mon, ma, mes. 3 different ways to say my. Your, ton, ta, tes, or formal, votre, vos. 5 ways to say your. Are you encouraged already? Son, sa, ses. 3 ways to say his, but in addition, son, sa, ses also mean her. So how do you know if you're saying his or her? And then there's notre, notre and nous. 2 ways to say our, and then leur. Leur is, there's 1 way to say their, but there are 2 ways to spell it. And so I hope you have fun. I'll help you through. And then the second lesson, I'll give you a little bit more input as we talk on this topic. But go now to lesson 3.15, and when you've finished, move to lesson 5.1 as we begin preparing ourselves to write French. Nice to see you again. Au revoir, à bientôt.